of Taiwan. I'm Brossard with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. At least 37,000 Taiwan passports were lost in 2023. The country's foreign ministry says tens of thousands of passports are reported lost each year, and that number is growing. Earlier this month, authorities busted a fraud ring that was illegally selling Taiwanese passports to Chinese nationals. Officials say it's getting harder for them to tell if these cases of lost passports are genuine or fraudulent. A Philippine-U.S. live fire drill was cut short in the South China Sea. That's as Chinese Navy ships continue to shadow the drills. Rick Lowert is observing the drills at the invite of the Philippine Navy. He brings us this report.
Warships from the United States and the Philippines are conducting live fire target practice here off the Philippine island of Palawan in the South China Sea. It's part of annual exercises between the two allies known as Balikatan, which literally means shoulder to shoulder. But China opposes this military cooperation in an area it claims sovereignty over, and Beijing has sent its own navy to shadow these drills. A Chinese spy ship came as close as 2 nautical miles of a US Navy vessel taking part in live fire drills, and the exercise was not completed. More than 16,000 troops and a dozen ships, not just from the Philippines and the US, but also France and Australia, are taking part in Balikatan 2024. And for the first time, activities are also taking place beyond Philippine territorial waters and in its exclusive economic zone, an area contested by China.
This joint exercise is conducted to show the unity of the two nations in promoting regional peace, security, and stability.
But the South China Sea is becoming a bigger point of conflict between Beijing and Washington in a relationship that continues to be strained. On a highly anticipated trip to Beijing, top US diplomat Antony Blinken was warned by China to not step on its red lines when it comes to sovereignty and defense. The world's two largest economies, China and the US, have plenty to disagree on, from Russia's war on Ukraine to China's claims of sovereignty over self-ruled Taiwan. But here in the South China Sea, those differences are writ large, as the country's two militaries throw their weight about in these disputed waters. Alex Chen and Rick Lowert in the South China Sea for TaiwanPlus.
Schools across the Philippines are closing because of extreme heat. As Harrell Hughes reports, this is more than just a few days of missing school. It's affecting students' futures.
Fans, notebooks, and even pieces of cardboard. A sweltering heat wave has swept the Philippines and classrooms have become unbearable.
So dito po sa Pilipinas po sa atin, sobrang init po talaga yung as in nakakapaso na po talaga siya ng balat. Hindi po siya tulad ng karaniwan lang po dati na init na tolerable naman po. Ngayon as in hindi po talaga ako makatagal sa init.
The heat index has hit 50 degrees Celsius in some areas, becoming a health hazard, especially for young people.
We should understand that they are really prone to several effects of extreme heat, and that can be in the form of heat stress, which is characterized by headache, dizziness, vomiting, and even fainting. There are reports over the radio and on TV that children are fainting in the classrooms.
As temperatures hit extreme highs, both students and teachers are suffering, and the government has had to act.
No, kapag ka ang init ay pumatak ng 40 and above, so ang nangyayari po ang mga bata ay hindi papasok. Ganun na rin po ang mga guro, hindi na rin papasok. Ngunit meron kaming asynchronous, pwedeng magbigay na activities sa mga estudyante.
But shifting to online classes is not a viable option for every student. And each day not spent in a classroom is a day a student could fall behind in their studies.
Kagaya dun sa bahay, dun yung may internet tapos sobrang init, hindi ka makapag-focus kasi minsan nahihilo ka ganun.
Education in the Philippines has already faced setbacks. In a global study by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the country ranked 77th out of 81 in student assessments. And the extreme heat has made learning nearly impossible. As temperatures rise and schools shut down, it is the students across the country who are suffering the most. Scott Huang and Harel Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
This school in the mountains of India has a big mission, keeping Tibetan culture alive. Harel Hughes has this story as well.
In the mountains of India is a school full of students, and the language echoing off the walls comes from Tibet. This is a Tibetan Children's Village, a non-profit organization created by the Tibetan government in exile. They fled Tibet in 1959 after China took over in the 50s. At least 100,000 Tibetans followed their spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, into exile in India. Unhappy to see the living conditions of the children, the Dalai Lama established the first daycare here in 1960, with only 51 children. By 1972, the daycare became the Children's Village, and now it has become much more.
The whole purpose of having a school, a separate school, is to preserve our own culture. That is the mission of His Holiness Dalai Lama. From kindergarten, we start teaching all the subjects in our own language. We have our own cultural activities, dance and music and other prayer walks, all these things.
Sanam is one of the children who left Tibet with his family in 1970. As the school's principal and a former student, he is ensuring Tibetan language and culture is passed on to the next generation.
I was a small kid. I used to come here. Now I become big in this school. I learned everything like that. Something else, I don't know. Like, I read so good.
The 1,000 students currently enrolled at the school also learn life skills, such as laundry, cooking, and caring for the environment, and even stay in traditional Tibetan-style residences.
We have homes for them, so this is a kind of, not only a school, it's like a community where students can sleep together, eat together, and live together as friends, as a family, and as sisters and brothers.
More than 52,000 people have graduated from this school, and each year there are more enrollments, ensuring Tibetan traditions will continue outside their ancestral land. Isan Pan and Harel Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Help is on the way for Taiwan's coral populations. A team of volunteer divers is working to remove trash from the shores of the country's southern tip, just as the species' spawning season gets underway. Jonathan Trieste has the story.
In the waters off Taiwan's southern tip, April and May is coral spawning season. These days, though, the reefs here are far from pristine. And there's trash, a lot of it. This year, a team of divers from across Taiwan has gathered to remove as much refuse as they can carry from among the spawning corals. They're focused on 5 sites.
这一次的进海总共有来自全国北中南113位潜水好手，总共清出了30公斤的垃圾，其中以绳索、渔网、铁铝罐、塑胶等最多占了1半以上。
This is one of many regular beach cleanups held across Taiwan. But as the divers themselves note, the tide of undersea trash never ends. They say attitudes need to change if things are to get better.
就是保特瓶，或者吃完的奶茶啊，或者是他不经意掉下来的塑胶袋啊，最害怕碰到小 baby 的妈妈把他的 diaper 就往海边，那个最可怕，它粘在那个礁石上。
These divers say that while Taiwan's waters are rich in marine life, it's up to ordinary people to make sure they're protected. Delphine Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Before we go, check out these yogis practicing on the runway of an airport in Bangkok. I'm Philip Brossard. Take care. We'll see you next time.